So now I'm going to share my screen again, and we are here. So actually, whenever I copied it, this formula here, then it has considered this value, and it shows that after 5 years, 5.45, this would reach to the break-even point. So in all these situations, the problem is that it is taking a long time to get the break-even. So it's not so much viable. So if let's suppose this project or business or investment is going for 7 year, 8 year, 10 years, then definitely it is creating huge profit or reasonably high profit. So this delay is clear. It is the delay in start, and delay in end is same, because if it is going to start with delay, automatically it is going to be ended with delay. So I'm going to revert back this change. Equal to this cell multiplied by this cell and plus again this cell, and making this cell fixed F4. So this happened, and then I'm going to move up to this time period, right? And this is going to be deleted, right? So it's not needed. Now we come back to the original situation, right? And we are going to observe that how things are going to change now. What will happen if we are going to incorporate various changes, then what will happen with the stream of return? So what values we have, if we are going to compare different kind of situations, then just like I may show you, I have probably mentioned somewhere. So this is the procedure through which you can find out the NPV at the end of the 5th year, IRR, and then you are going to take different variations in the annual benefits, or you are going to apply different kind of changes in benefits, right? So you can apply these changes in terms of benefits. You can apply the changes in terms of change in taxes. You can apply the changes in terms of change in discount rate, and accordingly you can record all the values. And once you will get different values, you can find out the trend line, right? How you will get this? It's easy to do, but you have to copy this data one by one. First, you will take the just like if I'm going to use this. If you are going to do this fixed way, every time you are going to have different values. Therefore, I'm not suggesting that you have to create the link, because when I have created the link, like, but every time I have to change the strategy, because whenever you have created this link and you are going to change something here, and these values are going to change automatically, all previous values are going to change. Therefore, it's better that whatever values you have mentioned, just like these values, you can add by yourself. So let's suppose delete all these values, these, right? And what you need to do, you can just copy it, copy, and copy just like in this way, right? Oh, sorry. First, you have to copy the values, right? So that you can get the outcome straightforward. So just like values, and then you copy it. This way you will get these values, right? And then you delete this. And this time period is there. So you can copy it, simple, copy, and then only paste the numbers, right? So this is the break-even time period. So this is done for, let's suppose, 20 years. So it's not exactly 20 years, 20% change in benefit. I am just going to mention this change in benefit. There's zero change in benefit, right? So initially there is zero change in benefit. So no change in benefit, right? You are not going to change benefit. You are considering existing benefit. So let's suppose second time period, you are going to introduce some change. Benefits are going to decrease 10% or increase. So both situations are there. Just like here, you observe the minus and plus situations. So this zero may be mentioned. Let's suppose if I'm going to copy this, cut and paste, and then we are going to move. Let's suppose 40% change, 25% change, 10% change, 3% change, right? So in this way, and these are the negative change, right? It is a positive change. Upward is positive and downward is negative. So minus 5%, then you can change minus 15%, and then you can change minus 25%. Because you cannot reduce so much largely these benefits, otherwise definitely project will not be beneficial. It's not going to pay you, because naturally if you are going to cut down greater proportion, usually every project or business or investment is going to give at most 20-25% return. So if you are going to cut down the your returns up to 20-25%, actually you are cutting down the potential profit. It's not possible that projects are giving you 50% profit. You invest 1 lakh rupee and you got 50,000 rupees in a year. So it's not possible. Over the time period, you can accumulate so much largely, but it's not possible that in a given year, you get so much large amount of your profit. Clear? Therefore, it is important you reduce marginally, but you may increase largely. Simultaneously, some changes are going to be incorporated. Let's suppose if I'm not going to create more complex situation, but really a complex situation is more giving you more clear picture. Otherwise, it's very simple, just like you observe by yourself here. Whenever you are increasing this, returns are going to annual returns are going to increase. Situation is getting better and better, much largely better. And then whenever they are going to decrease, situation is becoming worse, right? These returns are going to reduce. So it's natural. Whenever you are going to increase the cash flows more and more, your project is becoming more and more beneficial. Break-even point is coming closer and closer to zero, reducing. Your magnitude of returns are going to rise, increase. So it's natural. There's no problem. Problem arises whenever on the one side you are bearing increasing rate of interest. On the other side, you are going to face some kind of taxes. And on the other side, your cash flows are going to change. If your cash flows are rising due to better technology and efficiency, taxes are rising, interest rate is rising, still you can manage. So that is the situation which we need to understand. Let's suppose I'm going to add tax become equal to previously it is 50%, right? So it is 50%. Let's suppose we start from the very low amount of tax. There is no tax initially. Let's suppose I'm just going to make it zero tax. What is the situation? This is the outcome without tax. Very high rate of return you are getting. Only 2 years are needed to complete that. So I'm just going to paste tax 0, right? This is the one scenario. So this is the outcome. Copy it. So every time you have to do this now quickly, and you can do it. There's no issue in terms of that. Just copy, and then you have to place here. Sorry, in this way, right? And you have to copy and copy the value here. Clear? So this means these values are with zero tax. And now what is your other values? 14% discount rate. I is equal to, sorry, is equal to 14%, right? And zero tax and discount rate, and there is increase in projected benefit. 20% increase in projected benefit, because this has been done for the 20% increase in projected benefit, right? So already that has been incorporated. So keeping the same situation again, and now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to your cash flows plus 20%, right? In cash flows has already increased up to 20% due to some other reasons. So that situation is much more favorable for you. Now what will happen if the same situation, tax is zero, and then there is no rise in your cash flows? So what would be the outcome? Is normal cash flows. Just remove these values so you have the space to manage. Are you with me, all of you?
Yes, sir.
So you have to do all these activities by yourself, and they are not so much difficult. You just learn it, and you just try it by yourself one time, and then you can do it. So purpose is that you have to compare these values with these scenarios, with these situations. If some situation is going to change, how your project is going to be affected. Mostly you will observe that things are good because they are showing good situation in your business, then you are happy and you are comfortable. In this case, there's no rise in your cash flow, so I'm just mentioning there's no change in the cash flow. So these need to be changes accordingly, right? Then there may be some kind of variation in the cash flow, or there is no change in the cash flows, right? So accordingly, things may be mentioned. Just like what need to be changed, taxes. Now I'm going to increase the taxes with 20% cash flows, rise in cash flow, right? So this is the one situation. I'm just going to copy it, cut here, paste, right? And I'm going to add this 20% still increase, right? 20% rise is still there in cash flows, but previously there is no tax. Now tax is going to be changed. It is going to be increased. So this situation is going to be changed. Now the tax is added 20%. So 20% tax has been imposed. Now we want to know, after imposition of 20% tax, the benefits are totally lost, just like whenever there is no increase in the your cash flow, or still you are enjoying some cash flows. So here, first of all, you will increase this cash flows 20%. So now this is the situation. Already you copied it, 97, this one, right? So there is no issue. And then you are going to add tax. Where is the tax? This tax rate. Previously 0% I have made. Now it comes to 20%. Now things has changed, and now we are going to compare this. First, let's suppose we need to delete this. Copy it, paste, copy, paste after transpose, then copy and paste. Simple. Right? Now what happens with these values? If you just try to observe the outcome, what kind of outcomes you are going to observe, that without, even with 20%, there was a rise in cash flows 20%, and there is no rise in 20% cash flow, and this is the situation when there is no tax. That is the situation when there is no tax. This was the situation when there is zero tax, 0% tax, as well as 0% cash flow, right? So in this way, you can identify the scenario. So in that case, initially your cash flows increased without rising taxes. Situation is this one. And once if there is increase in tax as well, then situation is this one, right? So if I'm just going to copy in this way, I think it will create more better picture compared to this. I'm just going to let me do this paste and then cut and paste and then this cut and paste. So what I have done, initially taxes and cash flow both are zero. So this is the situation. Then initially cash flow increased up to 20%. Situation has improved a lot. And then still cash flows are improved 20%, but taxes are imposed as well 20%. So what will happen? If you observe these cash flows, they show the difference, mean 65 and 61, and then 2.5 and 2.4. If your taxes are increased, if only taxes, now we will observe another situation when your benefits are remain same. This is 0%, and only taxes are increased, right? So we'll try to observe another situation. It is giving you more accurate picture of this whole scenario. Just like if you are bearing only taxes and still there is no cash flow rise. So what will happen in that case? Another scenario you can add. Here you will make it this increase in benefit 0, and your sorry, this should not be 0, it should be 0, right? And then this should be 20%, right? Now what happens? Income tax rate is 20%. This is the values. Copy. Okay. Now, if you observe the scenario, what happens? Initially, there's no taxes, there's no cash flow increase, right? And you are enjoying this this situation. You need only 2.5 year time period to reach to the break-even point. Then only taxes has increased, so your time period has increased from 2.9. Your discount rate. Actually, you can mention this column, these columns in terms of percentage. I'm just converting them percentage, right? So, and these columns in terms of 2 decimal situations. So I'm just going to use, sorry, or reduce these decimals, only these decimals, right? It needs 2.6 time period. So what is happening? You will observe the situation, taxes are increased, cash flows decrease, and without taxes, cash flows are higher. Then your discount rate 30, the internal rate of return 32%, and this modified internal rate of 23%, and 2.9 is the time period to reach to the break even. But if there is no tax increase and only cash flow increase, situation is much larger, better. Large amount of cash flows, NPV, 50% returns, 31% modified internal rate of return, and only 2.1 years are required to reach to the break even. If let's suppose 20% is the tax and 20% is increase in the cash flow, then this will be the situation. Then you can add more situations and more scenarios. Just like if I'm just going to make a copy of this whole, I'm just going to remove this extra. No need. So let's suppose if I'm going to copy this, and you have to do this. Let's suppose what? You are going to apply the same change with this. All these scenarios, if discount rate or investment rate is going to be 10%. Interest rate reduced. If interest rate is going to reduce, situation is getting better. Interest rate move down, NPV will rise. So that is the better situation. If interest rate moves up, NPV will decrease. So rising interest rate is problematic. for the corporate sector, decreasing interest rate is not problematic. So they are happy, they are welcoming that. So easy monetary policy is good for them, but strict monetary policy is bad for them to an extent. Therefore, rising discount rate is problematic. So I'm just going to rise it. It comes to 18%, right? So let's suppose 18%. If it happens, all these four scenarios, what will be the situation? Can you do that now by yourself? Are you with me? If you are opening this data sheet and you are doing this, please. I need your feedback as well. Jumer.
Yes, sir.
How many of you have already opened the sheets, or all of you are with opening, not opening any sheet and you are just observing it? Mention your hand, raise your hand if you have already opened the sheet. Okay, so now you have opened. Anyone else? Okay, but all of you have to do that. So definitely, I know that it's really difficult sometimes outside the class. In the class, in person, you can do that because things are happening on the slides and you are working on your computers, so it is convenient. But in online situation, it is really difficult because you have to observe a small screen. If you want to open up your sheet, then your screen will be divided into parts and it's difficult to manage. So you don't want to do that. Therefore, I just not have any objection in this regard. Only thing is that I need you to do these things by yourself and share with me the outcomes, right? Because it is important. Actually, I'm not going to give the marks of your everyday activity now, because now I have specified these marks for your Viva, which is going to be conducted immediately after 18th Feb, right? And in that Viva, I'm just going to ask about all these things: capital budgeting, or regression application, trend projection, or all these things. So if you have hands-in practice, you have passed through all these activities through in your head, through your hand, and you have done some practice, believe me, you may get full 100% mark, mark in your Viva. No issue, because I just asked few things. Okay, do this and show me, and you are going to do that on your computer by sharing the screen with me. I'm getting comfortable. Okay, you know how. Another thing, few questions I will ask related to all these activities. If you are capable to do that, it's great, right? So that is important. You have to do that by yourself. So it may be possible that your Viva may be conducted at the campus. You have to come, but it depends, because still I have observed the schedule for ESL matches, and it continues with 1 or 2 days break up to 27th. So consistently that is going to happen. So that is the limitation we have to bear. So I'm going to conduct your Viva through online, no issue, but you have to show and you have to perform your work, right, by yourself. Okay, let's suppose in given situation now, what is the condition exactly we are bearing? There is no increase in the project benefit. And so always come to the original situation, so that you know that you are at the original situation. This is no tax and no cash flow change. This is that situation. When there is no tax and no cash flow change, this is the situation, right? We are here. So actually you are going to get first the information regarding this cell, and then you are going to change, apply variations, and you get. Or you can move from this one by one, step by step. You initially introduce both rise in taxes and cash flows, and then change the discount rate and find out the values. So in this case, 20% cash flow In this case, cash flow is exactly again 20%. In this case, it is 0%, 0%. Right? So these are the situation. If you are not going to mention this column, there is no issue. You need not, because you have already identified the scenario. So you can mention this scenarios. These are the scenarios applied in different contexts. So these can be bold and colored, bold and italic. You know you are going to. So if you are not going to mention this column, no issue. It is not needed as such. Only thing is that you must know this is the NPV. So make it colored. So you know that this is the NPV. This is the IRR. So give some other color to IRR. Let's suppose this is the MIRR. Give some other color to MIRR. And break even year, give some other color to this break even year. Right. So just like to make it clear that you are actually finding the relevant value, and you can make this whole row and column with the same color to differentiate with each other. Anyhow, so what is the situation? 20%, 20%, and one thing has been changed. This is 20%, 20%, and this is 20%. Whenever you are entering, automatically changes are going to happen by itself, and this discount rate is going to change to 18%. Now the important thing is that reinvestment rate need to be changed or not. What do you think usually, if discount rate is going to change, reinvestment rate is going to change or not by the corporate sector? Give please. Reply. Hamza.
सर इनकी चेंज नहीं होगी.
They have to change, because what will happen, I just mentioned previously, if market rate is given 18% return and you are not giving for reinvestment, the people are not feeling good, because you are not giving the due profit to them, and even reinvesting at lower rate. They want to reinvest at the same rate, 18%. If you are reinvesting with high rate, they are more than happy. Market rate is 18% and they are investing with 20% because they don't want to lose that money. That is another scenario, positive scenario. So actually, it happens that you have to keep both same. I'm just going to make it same so that people are not going to disturb. So this is the outcome you will get. Extra values need to be removed. Copy, paste, and then copy, and then this scenario you are talking about, transpose, and then you can directly write 2.6. 2.6 is the time period, right? So this shows that this is the situation now. And again, actually you have to use the whole row and column for all the scenarios in terms of percentage, and this all the scenarios in terms of whatever point values you are going to use, right? So now all the values will be the same way. So now what will happen, this, if you just like make it this in terms of the original situation, whenever this is the original situation, and you can make it bold and italic, because you are comparing all the situation with this situation, and even you color it in any way, just like you color it this, right? So just because you are comparing all scenarios with this, you can compare other scenarios with each other, there's no issue, but at least this is the beginning when there is no change in cash flow, and this is going to be happen on the given situation. I mean, just like your discount rate is no change, but cash flow and there's no taxes, right? So in this way you are going to incorporate other changes and you can get result. I'm just going to take your attendance because time is getting over, and I again received the warning from the Zoom that only 10 minutes are left. So we will continue to discuss, but before that, I'm just going to take your attendance. So if meeting is going to be over, at least your attendance must be marked there. Okay, Ibrahim Abbas, not here. Muhammad Hamad. Hamad, you came after quite
Yes,
a long
sir.
time.
सर मैंने वो लीव ली हुई है
अच्छा, उमैर अकबर.
सर मैंने
Okay.
थर्ड
Yes,
वाला
sir.
लेक्चर लिया है
Umair Akbar is here, sir.
Okay, just a minute. Hamza is here. Umair Akbar.
Yes, sir.
Muhammad Ahmed Ansari.
Yes, sir.
Fatma. I think she's on leave. She has sent this. Then Muhammad Ibrahim Faisal. Uraj Javed. Asma. Asnar.
Yes, sir.
Abibatar.
Present.
Manur. In previous session, Manur is there, Asma is there, but in current session, both are here, not.
Charathar Bib is present.
Asma is here and Mahnur is not appearing here.
Yes, sir, present.
Who?
Sir, मैं present हूँ अथर बीब sir.
Athar Habib, your present is marked, don't worry.
ठीक,
Sheet
sir.
is visible to you while you are worrying, once you are getting the values by yourself. Okay, I'm just asking that Mahnur is not appearing, Mahnur Khwaja is not appearing here, but in previous meeting, she was there. So I just mentioned one attendance, right, to her. And I need to definitely mention for those who are taking the second session. So Ahmed Ansari is here.
Yes, sir.
You are in both sessions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm just giving one mark at this point of time. Let's see. Later on, I will observe the recording and I will decide what to do. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to complete this part so that you people know. Right, save it. Okay, what you need to do actually, those who have the class, you may leave, and for others, I'm just going to take for 5 minutes, because after 6 minutes, this meeting is automatically closed. So whenever you are going to change your discount rate, whenever you are going to impose new taxes, whenever you are going to change cash flows, if you are going to add some delays, actually, in case of delay, most of the time projects are going to be reevaluated. Therefore, usually for delay, you are not going to make this kind of calculation. You have to make again all the calculation or separate calculation. So therefore, I'm not going to add delay here. Most of the scenarios are related to variation in the financial variables, taxes, or just like the interest rate or reinvestment rate is going to change, or some time cash flows are going to change, some cost of production increases, some profit margin decreases, sales are going to reduce, therefore your revenues are declined. So all these are the things. Cost of goods has been increased. So actually, we are going to incorporate these changes through these variables. So you are going to generate all these scenarios, and then you can observe these scenarios and you can prepare a report to guide the corporate sector, to guide the particular business that up to which situation that business is sensitive. Mean after a certain point of time, the business is incapacitated to continue. Let's suppose we may observe, just like previously we have observed, how much maximum tax burden with the given other situation this business can afford. Let's suppose if I'm going to make it 60%, then what will happen? It will become 4.4 your break-even point, and only last year you will get some kind of returns, And just like let's suppose even 60% your project will generate some positive returns, but what happened about 70%, or if 7% straightforward losses, so it means maybe 65% or a 67% will be the situation when, okay, it's very close to zero now, NPV. So this means it is just like a 66.5%, probably not 66.5% is not working, 66.8%, let's suppose, 66.8% and 66.9%, very close to zero, but still not becoming zero. So usually it is very close, just like 6.95. Now getting very close. So just like I'm getting that value, which is very close, 4.99, means around 5 years are required to get the break-even point. So this means up to 60% with the given situation. If the discount rate is 18%, if your cash flow will rise up to 20%, then up to 67% rise in tax you can afford. If taxes are still 30%, they are growing up, your business is in comfortable range. It's not vulnerable. But let's suppose if taxes increase up to 40%, 45, 50% and more, still your business is valid. You can continue your investment, you can continue your business, but you have to be clear that the margin is going to reduce, it's going to shrink. Furthermore, taxes are going to create this business non-viable. Just like once you reach to the 65% and then close to the, say, more than 65% tax, then you have to wind up your investment. You have to wind up that business because it's not usable, it's not profitable. Right? So these are the scenarios which you can focus. Just like if, let's suppose, tax rebates are given and government is not imposing so much high taxes, only 15% tax is there, and you are quite happy with this large amount of taxes. Only 2 years, within 2 years, you are going to have this 2.5 years, you are going to get your break even, and then your returns are going to increase over the time. This is one situation that your returns are going to change as a whole, but it is possible that due to some reason over the time your projects is going to have some kind of technological breakthroughs, and then they are going to increase over the time. So not in the as a whole 20%, but it's growing 20, 30, 40, 50% in this way, accelerating over the time. So in that case, situation is much larger, much better. Sometimes your equipment cost may be more. Let's suppose this is the one equipment cost, and then you are going to add more. So there are some possibilities that life of the year, let's suppose the project life is going to increase, then you are going to have more scope for this. So this is possible. Any other thing you can you may ask, you can make it clarified because the last minute is going on. So I have mentioned these scenarios, and you have to do it by yourself to generate these outcomes with these scenarios. And then what you need to do, actually you have to generate these kind of outcomes, and this is the same, right? Just like I have mentioned this is the same thing, no issue with it, with different discount rates. So only your focus will be this one. So what I will do, or what I will ask for this part, I may give you some scenarios and you have to generate the outcome, right? So once you have generated outcome or already generated outcome is with you, and then I will change the scenario and you have to generate the outcome quickly. You just change the scenarios and outcome will be generated, and then you can identify. Only thing that is more important is that how you will interpret the results. What is required, how much sensitivity, let's suppose if I may say, or how much sensitivity this business has with respect to the discount rate. I mean, if discount rate is going to rise, this discount rate is going to be, let's suppose 25%, then what will be the situation?